So again, I'd like to welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome my very special guest and friend, Daniel Morrow. He's very near and dear to my heart, and he's had this idea of the Peace Project in his mind for, it seems like eons, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So today, like I said, we're meeting to discuss a very exciting initiative, the Virtual Peace Project. This is a Canadian heart-centered peace initiative. So, Daniel, could you please tell us a little bit about the project, when and where it was inspired?
Thanks, Tracy. It's really great to be here. So this project goes back to quite a few years ago, but I'll just go to the most recent iteration of it, which was during a Peace Festival in September of 2017. And we kind of laid out this idea of an actual experiment that we would run based on previous studies that have been done with transcendental meditation. You may be familiar with the Maharishi effect, and they find that when you get like a very small percentage of people together, they discovered it was somewhere around square root of 1%, it starts to affect population variables like crime reduction, hospital emergencies, and things of that nature. So the idea for us was to run such an experiment here in Ottawa, but not necessarily require people to be seasoned TM meditators. And the idea was to bring in the research of HeartMath Institute, and people who would be gathering as part of this project would simply know how to embody that state of heart coherence. And we would be, emanating these positive energies by amplifying the fields of all the individuals. So kind of like extending the TM studies that go back all the way to the 70s and have been done around the world, except we'd be doing our own version in Ottawa, Ottawa being the nation's capital. So what I was thinking in terms of, we're in the midst of this coronavirus, obviously it's stressing out a lot of people on the planet, and there's a lot of news on the media 24/7, which is not exactly making people feel pleasant and peaceful. It's almost like a different type of prayer that's being put out there. So the idea is to counteract that, and there have been many such global mass meditations. There was one, in fact, yesterday, April 4th, at 10:45 EDT, and the idea, it was actually intentioned around the coronavirus. This is more generic. We're not trying to do anything per se, just we're just creating that beautiful heart coherent field that ripples out into the collective. And the idea is we're not limited by geography, of course. And so that is the essence of it. We're doing a scaled down version right now because we feel it's needed in the collective all over the planet. People are really stressed out because of the constant news. So that's what we want to do. It won't be an experimental version of the Peace Project, and we won't require any of the tech and funding and infrastructure that we would for that project. But it feels like now is the time because people are at home. A lot of people are doing online stuff because, we're told to stay inside and social distancing, and people are spending a lot of time at home with their families. So there's a lot of positive benefits to this. So anyway, that's a kind of an overview answer to that question, and we'll continue filling in the dots as we go today. Thanks, Tracy.
Awesome. Thank you. So what is heart coherence then? And could you describe some benefits that people might experience when they invoke a state of heart coherence in their body?
Sure. So heart coherence has been very rigorously studied by the Institute of HeartMath, as I mentioned. The heart is a major biological resonator. And when it is in a state of coherence, it actually impacts all the other areas of the body, including the brain. You create brain coherence, your immune system is working better. And so we can measure this with something called heart rate variability. That's how they measure it. It's very simple. It's just the beat-to-beat fluctuations in your heart rate. So in other words, your heart rate is not, if you have, say, 72 beats per minute, it doesn't stay at 72. It goes up and down through cycles every minute. So it might go up to 75, 80, and then down to 60, 65. And the idea with heart coherence is when they're measuring this so-called heart rate variability is that you can create this very smooth wave. So you're in coherence when you feel peaceful and blissful, but you can also measure that. So essentially what's happening, you create this smooth wave, and it's basically the interaction of the two parts of your autonomic nervous system, right? So when people are in a state of heart coherence, you see it with this graph of heart rate variability and you feel it, but you also have this beautiful balance between the sympathetic nervous system, which we know as the fight or flight or freeze, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. So when people are stressed out, which we see a lot of that in the society, even outside of a pandemic, then your fight or flight is working and you have all these cascades of negative hormones. So when those two systems are working well together, they're in balance and they're not fighting one another. So you're in a state of coherence. When you're feeling sort of emotions of frustration or anger, then you can create some chaos between those two systems. Or when you're stressed out and the sympathetic is taking over. So heart coherence is essentially something that can be measured very easily. And there are, of course, techniques to embody that state. They're quite simple. You don't have to be a seasoned meditator to do that. In terms of benefits, again, your autonomic nervous system is in balance. Your immune system is boosted. You're able to digest food better. You're able to think more clearly. Because again, when your heart is in this state of coherent resonance, so is your brain. Lots of benefits. And we're just going to scratch the surface today. We'll go into much more detail in our second session of the series. I'll be able to maybe display some graphs and slides, and we can really get into all the juicy, good stuff from HeartMath.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and earlier you mentioned that previous TM studies have measured interesting effects when relatively small groups of seasoned meditators gather in an area. So is there any legitimate science that supports the idea that people in a state of heart coherence can create similar positive effects within the collective or the Earth's fields?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. It's certainly good for individuals, but outside that, we're looking to impact the collective, right? Because we know there's something. But is there actual scientific evidence for it? And beyond the TM studies, yes, there is. And this is, again, associated with the Institute of HeartMath. They have something called the Global Coherence Initiative. And they've actually got these magnetic field detectors, which are very sensitive. They've positioned something like 13 or 14 around the world. And so there's some in all the continents. We've got one in Canada. There's one in California, Saudi, Hawaii, Peru, South Africa, India, and so forth. So I'm just going to read off here. Specifically, what this is a global network of sensitive magnetic field detectors that monitor fluctuations in the Earth's geomagnetic fields and resonances in the ionosphere. So you're measuring geomagnetic fields around the Earth and the ionosphere. And so you may be familiar with studies that have talked about when, for instance, 9/11 happened or Princess Diana died. It really impacted the collective. And they were able to measure this in terms of random number generators. So random number generators, RNGs, that went way off the baseline, the average, because the field of the planet was impacted because of all the people were feeling a certain way, either fear and devastation after 9/11 or sadness when Diana died, or for a lot of people, happiness and this feeling of upliftment when Obama showed up. So there's that evidence, but beyond that, the Global Coherence Initiative has all these sensitive magnetic field detectors positioned around the planet. And their project, and it's ongoing, is to measure this bidirectional relationship between human hearts, the coherent fields that human beings can generate with these simple techniques, and the field of the planet, the geomagnetic field and the resonances in the ionosphere. And some of you may also be familiar with Schumann resonance, right? Well, there was a global meditation yesterday, 10:45 EDT. It was around the intention of the coronavirus to put out some good vibes. And in fact, the Schumann resonance shot up and it was intensified. So it carried into today. So still going. So it certainly did impact the Schumann resonance. And so what they're doing with HeartMath is, in fact, looking at these field detectors and seeing, running experiments when you have people in states of coherence in groups, and you create something called social coherence. And then they're just looking, they're measuring, picking up what's going on around the world. So it's bi-directional. The fields in the planet affect our human hearts and our nervous systems, and we in turn affect the collective. And so we can do something in this time of pandemic. There's a lot of fear propagated by the media. I just wanted to point out one thing, and the reason for this project is to extend the mass meditations that have been done previously. I mentioned James Twyman and Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden. These people have organized these mass meditations, and you see spikes and you feel good, but they tend to be for an hour or so. What happens after that? Well, you get this peak, you get this burst of good feelings, and then it goes kind of back to baseline. Now, remember this. You've got like 4 or 5 billion internet-connected people who are all riveted to the latest coronavirus stats. So that is like a living prayer where the media is putting out, hey, this many people got the virus today. This many people died. This many more people are going to die. So my point is, if we do these mass meditations, we got to continue it. That's the purpose of today, and that's the purpose of this P.E.A.C.E project, is to create something horizontally in time instead of vertically in a snapshot in time. You keep it going 24/7 or as close to possible as you can. So you would have people sort of taking a time slot of meditation where they would be doing their heart coherent practice. And then there's people sort of scattered across the day doing that. So we're not all doing that at the exact same time. There may be less people, but it could build up and become viral in a positive way. And that's the idea behind the P.E.A.C.E project. I said a little bit more than I was planning to, but we didn't even talk about the acronym, but I guess we could.
Well, actually, that's what I was just going to ask you.
Were you?
I was just going to ask you, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to resonate with this, light workers, old souls. There's so many people that would resonate with this incredible project. So how would people participate in this? And can you tell us more about what the acronym in P.E.A.C.E means?
The motivation was this P.E.A.C.E project, P.E.A.C.E had an acronym. So I coined this acronym for P.E.A.C.E back when I did this presentation. So it stands for Planetary Emissaries Awakening Conscious Evolution. P.E.A.C.E, Planetary Emissaries Awakening Conscious Evolution. So that's why it's in capital letters. It means something beyond just, peace, which is great. Peace and love and joy and all that good stuff. Now, in terms of getting involved in this, again, we want to make this as simple as possible because the time is now to do this and not be too worried about infrastructure or money and anything like that. If anybody wants to take part in it, you just send us your information, which is your name and the time slots that you choose. The idea is we'd like to have people doing 20-minute time slots. You can do more, of course, but you commit to 20 minutes a day. So if you could set aside 20 minutes every day and you do this heart coherence practice, which you're going to be talking more about momentarily, and you tell us when you're going to do it, it's up to you. It's your choice. It can be the same time every day or different. It's ideal if it's the same time because you create a rhythm for yourself and it's great for your own biology and your energy systems and your nervous system. It's really good for all of us to be doing this regardless. And so the idea is just send us your name and the times that you choose. And if you could, your geography in terms of, you don't have to give a specific address, just your postal code, and say you're living in the Ottawa area as an example, Vanier, Barhaven, Canada, just give us that. Just give us the sort of suburb or the area of your city and the postal code. That way we can sort of tabulate, keep track of who's doing this where, and then we can create our own stats and see them grow virally, just like we see in the world a meter. So if you don't mind giving us that, those 3 pieces of data, that would be ideal. And then we'll compile that and put that in the database. And we're going to be telling you more about the database in the next couple sessions. So first and last name, your rough geography in terms of postal code and or suburb, and the time slots that you choose. So it's easier if you pick the same time every day and you agree to do 20 minutes. Of course, you can do more. You can keep that vibe going. It's just that you're committing to at least that, and we know that, and we can keep track of that. And so it's going to create a good vibe, seeing everybody, more and more people get on board. Again, we're initiating this from the Ottawa-Gatineau area, the National Capital Region in Canada, but it doesn't prevent anybody anywhere from taking part in this. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, that was my next question because we have some Americans on. I'm sure we'll have other people from the States and Europe and beyond, so that want to take part in this. So it's not limited to just Canada. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. So for those who may not be familiar with the science of heart coherence, can you provide, or is it possible that we can do a bit of a demo right now?
Mm-hmm.
We can sort of feel really what it feels like to drop into this state of heart coherence.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So there's a lot of techniques we can do. Of course, there's literally a dozen things you can do to create heart coherence. So we'll just suggest one now. We'll do a demo of one. This is the quickest one you can do. It's kind of something that's suggested by HeartMath. And then what we'll do is we do session 2 and 3, which is planned in the coming week. We'll give different demos, different ways involving breath and so forth to get in that state of heart coherence. So you're not limited to like doing this one technique. It's just a suggestion for people that may not have heard of this before. And so I'll just guide us through. So just put your attention on your heart, your physical heart. You can put your hand there if you like. And you start breathing into your heart or your chest area. And as you continue breathing into your heart, you feel your breath slowing down. You feel yourself becoming calmer. And maybe you're going into a slower brainwave state. So we got slower and slower. We're inviting an alpha state in our brain. We're slowing down our nervous system. We're finding that balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And continuing to breathe into the heart. Imagine your breath is going in and out of your heart as you become more and more calm. And as you continue to slow down your physiology, your breath, your mind, you can bring in some rejuvenating, positive, heart-centered emotions like appreciation, gratitude, caring. It may help you to go into a memory where you felt really blissed out, very happy, or focus on a loved one or a partner. And just feel that feeling that's invoked from the memory and go into that state of bliss even deeper as you continue to breathe in and out of your heart, invoking and embodying that state of heart coherence, which is sending out these beautiful coherent rhythms to all the cells in your body and all the organs in your body and your brain. Your brain is aligning with your heart, your coherent heart. And the cells in your body actually understand the different modes of communication embodied in the physical heart, one of which is rhythmic communication. Those cells and organs understand and respond to that. So you're doing yourself a beautiful favor by getting to the stillness, invoking that heart-centered reality, which shows up physiologically, emotionally, and energetically. And you're more prone to healing. You can heal much more quickly. You can digest food more easily. You'll have a deeper sleep. Just some of the many benefits when we do heart coherence. Anti-aging, another beautiful benefit. So we'll continue this heart-centered breath, feeling the joy and gratitude, love, maybe even bliss. Wherever you're at, that's okay. Just allow and feel that there are many of us doing this at the same time, those of us who are gathered here in the session and beyond that. And we're going to take one more deep breath as we come out of this little heart coherence demo. And when you're ready, with a big smile on your face, sitting up straight, and gently open your eyes and coming back to this 3D reality. we got 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was so beautiful.
Thanks. So I see the light shining in, so I'm getting a beautiful sunlight shining in. You can see that in the background of my Japanese divider thing. And yeah, the sun just started to come out a little while ago. So we can feel the sunshine in our hearts. Our hearts are sunshine, internal sunshine generators. So as we are neutrally observing what's going on in the world with Corona, we're always invoking this positive intention, not to do anything per se or to try to eradicate anything, but just to put out a positive, beautiful vibrations for ourselves, our loved ones. And also an intention, I want to mirror somebody who said something about that meditation. They said they wanted to sort of modify what was said, and that people have resilient immune systems, that they're able to cope. If they, hopefully they don't, but if they do get this, they can handle it. Their immune system can take care of it, no problem. They'll be strong and resilient. So if there's any intention, it can be that. But we really don't have to do anything. We just have to embody heart coherence. And according to the Institute in Heart Math and the Global Coherence Initiative and other organizations, we are impacting the collective. So the idea is we're going to do this peace project, which we're initiating here in Ottawa, capital of Canada, but it's not, of course, limited to that geography. And we invite you to come on board and please send your data. I did not give you an email to send information to.
You'll write it in the chat box though, right?
Can we do that? Yeah.
Yeah. So you can
Okay.
do that after we're while we're taking questions in a few minutes, if that's okay.
Perfect.
So you mentioned today's session was part 1 of a 3-part series about the virtual peace project. So parts 2 and 3 take place this Tuesday and Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to kind of space them a couple days apart. So Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And there'll be a different theme. So it's around the Peace Project, P.E.A.C.E. Mm-hmm. We're just going to go and dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics. So the Tuesday version we'll have a chance more to talk about the science of heart coherence, maybe put up a few graphs. For those of you that are familiar, you've seen those toroidal fields around the heart. So we can expand our energy fields. And then on the third session, we'll talk more about the global side of it with the Global Coherence Initiative, some of the wonderful work they've been doing and what they're measuring and the experiments they've done at HeartMath to create social coherence, which then ripples out and affects the geomagnetic fields of the Earth and the Schumann resonance and the ionosphere and all that kind of good stuff. So that's the plan, is that we're kind of giving you an overview picture. And if this resonates with you, you'll know. And then just send us your information, which Tracy's going to post the email where you can send that. Mm-hmm. And one more thing I'd like to mention is I used to do a lot of webinars, and I haven't done one in many moons. So what I thought I'd do is do a full-on webinar that's about 45 to 60 minutes with a lot more of the science, a lot more of the details, a lot of graphs, some text where you can show up. So I'm getting thumbs up. And that way, people, even if they miss this series or they want more depth, they can just attend that webinar and we'll have a replay. It's a very fun environment to do a webinar, and I can go into much more detail. And it's nice to have the graphs and the visuals. For me, I'm a very visual person, and maybe some of you are too. So we'll have a link to the webinar. I haven't created it yet, but I'm going to plan it either within the series or just after. So we're doing Tuesday and Thursday, and somewhere in there, we'll send you a link to the webinar, which you can attend in real time and/or the replay. So that'll be a separate link from this, of course. And I think, Tracy, when we do the Zoom, you're going to be sending out a different link every time, like for the next sessions coming up. Is that correct?
Yes, I will be. I'll be send anyone who sends us an email that they're interested in hearing more, that want to attend the webinars or want to for this the Peace Project, then they'll answer the email and then we'll send all the information. Is that right? Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So it'll be 2 links. There'll be a link for each. Yeah. We're very informal mode right now. Tracy and I get together and we're like uh, um, ancient buddies, school friends, and we get together and chat and we go off on tangents. So it's like this is a very formal situation for us to be sitting here, but we want to make this conversation. We want to make this as lighthearted as possible. It's not so serious. What's going on in the world certainly is serious because it's impacting the whole world. I mean, an economic situation the likes of which we haven't seen before. And in terms of the shutdown, that's the thing that's very bizarre. I feel like I'm in a real-time movie. I'm driving down the streets, and it's like a ghost town. There's no traffic. There's some benefits to this. There's less pollution over China and other countries. Gas prices has gone down, although it's not good for the industry. But so there's some beautiful humanity showing up, right? The goodness of people is showing. I feel the appreciation. I'm delivering food part-time. I feel people are so appreciative. And you see these beautiful drawings from kids in Gatineau that says it's going to be okay with rainbows. I'm seeing all these rainbows on windows outside. So people are really stepping up and coming together for the most part. And I feel that's amazing when something like this happens. There are a lot of people, corporations, retooling and making ventilators. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. It may be a few weeks. We may be shut down for a few more weeks or maybe more than a month. But we're going to get back to normal. And so this has been a great opportunity for people to slow down, for people to be more, with their families. And it's an opportunity, I think, for a lot of people to do online events. And so we're making the best of this. And it just occurred to me, why wait to do this experiment? Why wait for millions of dollars of funding and infrastructure when this is needed right now? We can do it in the most simple way possible. And we'll get it rolling. We'll get it moving. You choose when you want to contribute your heart coherent field to this thing. And of course, it's not just a 20-minute time slot as much as you want, but you'll be feeding us the data that you feel you'd like to commit to. And if you can do it 7 days a week, beautiful. It's good for you. It's good for the collective. And I think that's about all I have to say in this moment. Thank you so much to everybody. I want to say lots of gratitude for showing up here live. I just posted this thing a few hours ago. So thanks again. And I guess we'll be ready if people have been posting questions. If people have questions, we can just kind of be casual and answer any of the more logistical stuff that people might want to know about.
So there were two questions. One is, what's the email address? So if you can write that in the chat box yourself, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that now.
The question was, when are you planning to start this?
Right now. In other words, right now, you choose when you want to do this. You can commit to it literally today and do your time slot and send us the data. So there's no set start date. It's just like as soon as people show up this experiment, they're part of it. And I feel like we planted the seed for this, but we can start in this moment with that first little 3-minute meditation we did. So in other words, whoever's getting on seeing this as a recording or later on, just jump on board right away, send us the email. So I'm going to type that in right now before I forget. It's awakeningottawa@gmail.com. Now that's a temporary email. I'm going to create an email specific to P.E.A.C.E project, but I already have that set up. It's associated with an initiative in the Ottawa area. So awakeningottawa@gmail.com. So if you send it there, I've already been receiving emails about other projects and things or people signing up for newsletters. So just send your data, your name, your geography, and the time slot. So I hope that was clear. Thank you for that question, Tracy. And thank you to Jean. I just saw your comment pop up there.
Yeah, so this is wonderful. So I think I don't see any other questions coming in right now. So if everyone can, and anyone who's interested, and again, this will be airing probably again tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, but please send your information, your name, your postal code, and your time slot. Local time slot is fine, to the email, and we can start this now. And then we'll send you an email with the next 2 dates of the webinars on Tuesday and Thursday. The time slots, the days are on Tuesday and Thursday, but the time will firm out for the webinar. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. We'll
Yeah.
firm up the time. It'll be kind of probably evening on those days, Tuesday and Thursday.
So I guess we'll bid everyone adieu for now, and hopefully we'll see everyone and more on Tuesday at some point.
Yeah, Tuesday evening. We're going to do it. We're doing it. And thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you again. This was so
Namaste.
cool. Namaste. Take care, everyone.
Take care. See y'all later. So we'll see you again on Tuesday, hopefully. And share, share, share. We are sovereign beings and we have a lot more power than we've been led to believe. I know you all know that. It's just to remind ourselves of that, right? Okay. Ciao, ciao.